afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining the Active Professional Development Series. We are going to get started in about 2 more minutes, just letting everyone get signed on. So we'll be back in about 2 minutes to chat with you all. Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining the Active Professional Development Series. Today, we are here with Eric Hoffman, who is President of Data Stream Connection. He is going to be talking to us about alerts in times of crisis and gathering data from everyone. Eric, would you like to take it away?
All right, good afternoon and hello to everybody. I'm glad we're able to take time. I'm glad you could spend a few minutes here today with me to kind of review some new features and things that are rolling out in support of you in your everyday lives. Today, I'm going to be using the word Foodshield very broadly. Hopefully, many of you here are Foodshield members, and if not, we'll be doing the always fun live demo. We'll show you how to get to Foodshield and look at a few things. But we're also referencing things like task forces, so food protection task forces. If you're a laboratory member who might use one of our laboratory portals, these functions and things we're talking about today are available to everybody across all those portals. So you are all welcome to learn about this, and if you need to get access to some credentials, we'll talk about that at the end. Foodshield and portals typically are thought a lot about as being a place for work groups and documents. You know, just a place to collaborate, throw some stuff together, have a centralized repository, and it's very good. Well, Foodshield's not really just that, and none of these portals are. These portals are built out and have a broad range of applications. Foodshield itself has 32 different applications in it. It's usually used by people for very specific functions. They've got specific needs for their groups, and we built out some applications. But there is the concept that Foodshield has related to what does it mean to collaborate and share information, and even in a response or a pandemic mode. So what you might not know is that Foodshield and our related portals for many, many years have had a response plan, some kind of large outbreak plan for our support for all of you that do your jobs on the front lines day to day. Foodshield has always taken a position that what we build is we build tools for you. And you guys have been terrific in reaching out to us since the start of this pandemic and saying, this is okay, but could this be done differently? Could you improve that for us? We need this at our state, or we need this inside of our working groups. And we've taken a very proactive stance in delivering a lot of new tools over the last 6 weeks, and we'll continue to do so over the next 6 weeks or however long it takes. As a part of that commitment to you all, we have done things as a part of a response plan, like expanding our hours for support, making sure we're there on evenings checking in, that we're there on weekends checking in, because we realize that really day to day, nobody really knows how their week's going to go and when they're going to need to do something. And so you reach out to us in live chat at midnight. We might be face down the keyboard, but do know that we're attempting to be there as long as we can to support you all. It's our pleasure to help you. You see these tools today and you want to investigate using them. We're just a phone call away to set up a quick strategic discussion, walk through it again if you need to, answer some questions that I don't answer today, and really figure out how we can shape that. As a part of this rollout of new features, you've been getting emails from the Foodshield system from me related to new tools that are coming out, our Zoom Gov, federal meeting system integrations, and other things like that to support and help train and help get you guys oriented to what's happening. So this is one of those things that has been an ongoing effort. And again, I want to say thank you to all of you that reached out to us, because you guys are really helping us identify what the highest priorities are, because my goal is to do what we need to do for you all. Some of these tools that previously were kind of specific audiences for specific reasons are going out to a wider audience. We're making it available to more and more people, and there'll be announcements coming soon to talk about how to get access to tools, what's happening. One of the tools you might have heard about was the new training manager that allows you to track essential video viewing, PowerPoint presentation watching, and taking certificate and quizzes. Doing all that, that's now available to public folks. So if you have an organization, you need to just track training on a very limited basis, something super simple, but don't want people to become Foodshield members to do so, this is now available. And it's been crazy how many people are looking at doing that now. And that's really great that we were able to respond to that for you. And the reason I bring up the idea of not Foodshield members and how we do outreach is because Foodshield itself is a secure community. We live in the government clouds. We focus on security and compliance and making sure that the information you guys share day to day is secured, that we take good care of it, and that we help give you tools to do your job securely and safely. Long and gone are the days of just shooting around emails and all the other things and using, WeTransfer online, just sharing data out into the public clouds. We're providing the secure enclave for you. But often we think about Foodshield meaning I can only do this with Foodshield members. And the truth behind it is Foodshield is built in a model that is meant to allow you to securely and safely share outside of Foodshield to non-members, and to interact with non-members in a way that either limits their activity to just you and what you're working on, or let them interact with you but never have a Foodshield account, never get access to Foodshield. But you might need a subject matter expert's feedback, you might need some data gathered. We've got tools for that. We're going to be covering a couple of those today. Again, if you aren't a Foodshield member, you want to do so. In summary, there's a process that you submit an application. We just verify you are who you say you are, and you're in Food and Ag, and off you go. So it's very, very simple. So the first tool we're going to talk about today is Secure Alert. You've probably heard rumblings of this over the last couple of years, of this alert system inside of Foodshield that's been out there, but we radically changed it in the middle of March in response to really what the realities were of pandemic messaging versus boil alerts or flooding alerts or the other ways that the tools are being used. And we were really happy to partner and work with a state or two to figure out what that change would be. And what we really thought about was, if this works for just one or two of these groups, we need to see how we can make this available for all of you. And so Secure Alert is the result of that work. And what that is, it's a communications tool that lets you send text alerts, email, and audio alerts to a large list of firms or establishments, or really any audience you're trying to reach, in a very quick, very efficient, but trackable manner. And so we all, get emails and we all get text messages blasted out to us. And how do they do that? Well, this is one of those tools. Yet what we're doing is not leveraging a third-party service or some unknown entity to do that. We're building this tool right in under Foodshield's umbrella. And what we do with it conceptually is that you create an event that you say, I have this event that I'm going to send this alert out to. And you can send out to that event multiple times with different lists, the same lists. It allows you to track, let's say, over this period of a flooding period over a month. We had March 2017 flooding. I can see I sent out 74,000 alerts. Same thing here. We can create an event, or you create an event, I should say. You can send multiple times to it, or you just do a one-off send. Just, what? I'm not going to track this by event. I'm just simply going to take my list of 50,000 people here, and I want to get messages out in the next 10 minutes to all of them, right? So we're really flexible. It was designed to be supportive, but not prescriptive, meaning we're not telling you how to do it. We let you kind of choose your own adventure. And when we do this, we also track and report on the activities. So it's great to send emails out, and it's great to fire off text messages and such, but if you can't report on them and know if they're successful, where there are gaps, or even just have an audit trail to show your stakeholders that we did do the outreach, and here's how we did it, and here's the date and time we did it. We recognize that's an important part of the process, and so we built in a dashboard for you as well. Now, I will pause and mention before I go further that conceptually, the Secure Alert tool is a separate application that's not a part of work groups. Inside of work groups, you will see that there is a texting tool in there, but that's really targeted to, people that are in your work group. We got examples where some work groups have been using that during hurricane, and they'll send out, are you an okay text alert to every work group member, right? That's a kind of really an internal communications tool, where Secure Alert is meant for you to talk to anybody. Now, Secure Alert, by virtue, again, think of the Foodshield model, gives nobody access to a single thing. It's simply a vehicle for you to get information out quickly. So, how do you do this? And we'll be doing a demo shortly, but just thinking it through in your head that our targeting models are very dependent on what your need is, where you could upload a list or create a list and send it just to everybody. I know this list is curated, it's good. I know these 25,000 emails are just the right list that I need to have, and send it off. But what came up was, boy, sometimes you guys have lists of, these deep lists with many thousands of records. And we don't want you to have to pour through those to find the right zip code or the right county to send to. So we allow you to upload the entire list and then filter it. Say, I only want to send to these zip codes. And there's a little map picker that you can click through the zip codes or click by county even, and just send to firm or establishments or people located in those locations. And that's a very powerful thing, because what we're trying to do, again, is reduce your workload. We know it can be difficult to get lists, which we'll talk about in a second, in the first place. So the last thing I want you guys doing is spending 4 hours combing through an Excel spreadsheet when we can let the machine take care of it for you, right? And one of the new features we have built out is a radius tool, meaning you can pick a spot on the map and say within 10 miles of this or 20 miles of this, and that will go through and choose all the folks in those zip codes of that radius. So again, don't have to do a lot of work up front, and you kind of let the interface do it for you. And the common question we get related to this, though, is, okay, I get that the tool can send out text messages, it can convert text into audio, and it can leave voicemails on people's cell phones and landlines, and that's very cool. Where do we get the data? And I think that the fairest thing to say is that really is different from agency to agency, state to state, from group to group. We did provide a simple Excel template that has a sample of fields that you'd want to successfully do this, just as guidance, with the idea that maybe you can have an Excel spreadsheet, one database and one from somewhere else, then just change the column headers and done. And then you can just upload it and off you go. There are some integrations available with certain groups, like to USA Food Safety, which we can go out and grab records from that perspective as well. This is probably the biggest challenge and a time sink. So if you think about sending a message through Secure Alert, you'll see here can take 5 minutes. The bulk of time might be getting that list on your side. We have seen that some agencies and some locations have ready to go lists they can grab relatively easily. That's fantastic. And one last comment about data sources is that the question is, what if it's old? What if I don't know if this stuff's valid? One of the nice things about this is it's critical to get the message out and not to sort through that too much, because what's going to happen is we're going to end up getting back a report of what's bad. Now, we don't advocate you using this just to clean up your lists. However, the idea that you will know that if your phone number forever goes to no answer, or that a text message bounce back is an invalid number, something along those lines, we can work towards providing a report on that, and you can use that to maybe kick off some cleanup on your side. We have found very interesting thing with the data sources. Depending on where these things are going out, you'll still find phones that have no voicemail, so just no answer and just ring forever. You'll occasionally get busy signals because they don't have call waiting, and those are a small percentage. We see a couple percentage here and there, so those aren't big issues. But the really nice thing about that is what we're doing is capturing that for you, so you can kind of identify that my list has this type of setup on it where we might need to have it redial 3 or 4 times. And so what we did is we amended the system here a couple weeks ago to go ahead and automatically redial those that are busy or no answer. So it will go back out, dial back out, and try to reread the message you created for them. So we try to add as much smarts in there as we can to really help you with your data and how clean or new it is versus old. And so we hope that really helps. So in theory, I know I've got some data now. I know I can send texts and emails. I can convert text to audios and leave voicemails. But how fast does it work? And this is a really important part of the discussion for everybody to know if you're thinking about using this tools, is that it differs on the type of thing that you're sending out. And you'll see the numbers on here look really staggeringly different, but I will explain them in a second. Emails are roughly, we can send 3,000 to 5,000 emails out every minute, no, not a problem. It blasts them out, it does it efficiently, gets it out the door, and so we can really kind of run this through pretty quickly. What you see below about text and text to audio was ironically something we ran into during the pandemic messaging, is that the wireless carriers have some limits on how fast you can do it. And so what we did was figured out how to work around it a little bit. So when you're sending text to audio, they vary, maybe it's around 12 per minute we're able to feed through. And if you think you gotta send 2,000 messages, that might take 20, 30 minutes, or maybe that's still not bad, right? You're still getting it out much more efficiently than you would before. But what we are now is we went out through every state, acquired multiple texting numbers per state, so we can triple, quadruple, and quintuple the throughput, so that you can get up to sending, a text every second, or 10 texts every second, or something along those lines. So we've really worked hard to kind of try to figure out what your circumstances would be and work with that. But the reason why we put the stars by here is saying that as your use case comes up for your organization, certainly a question to us doesn't hurt, and we can kind of look at that and see what we need to do for you. So show me is the next piece, right? So what does this look like? And so I'm going to do the transition of my screens here. And one note here today, we are going to be walking through the pilot Foodshield interface. Right now, this is the current production one, the one that you would see if you logged into Foodshield. The other task force portals, Null, Fern, these other ones are very similar. But what was happening is we were rewriting the entire interface for Foodshield and all the portals to make it much simpler and cleaner and nice. And it was pretty much ready to go in March, just before the pandemic hit. We made the election not to roll it out, to not upset everybody's workflows. But it is being used by certain groups, and what I'm showing you today is a part of the new user interface as I roll through this. So I'm going to pop over here, and this is the Foodshield's test environment that folks work on. And this is what the new user interface looks like. This is based off of, I think several hundred interviews with users of the platform over the year and a half, 2 years, trying to understand how to make things simple. So it's a very simple, clean interface. But because I'm going through pilot today, you'll see a little bit of old, a little bit new mixed in, and that's okay. But everything is really simplified on the left-hand side. Everything you need is right here. And you just go to what you need to go to. And today we're going to go first to secure apps. And the app store is not new. This is the old ugly version you're used to. But we'll pop into the alert system here. So the alerts, the secure alert tool here is broken down into 3 sections. What we mentioned before is create event, then the middle section of sending alerts, then the tracking of it. So you can see the interface in the new Foodshield is very, very clean, really focused on making this easy to do and lower the amount of training. Now, each one of these modules, these apps like Secure Alerts and Secure Form will come with introductory videos. So the first time you come see it, you can watch a video that will walk you through it and give you a little bit of guidance on what to do. So when you do this first time, you'll have a little bit of help. And then down here in the lower right, there's a little help bubble. Right here, we've got real-time chat and communication support for you. So the first time you do it, you've got questions or I'm scared to hit that send button, I don't know what's gonna happen. You can certainly reach out to us and get advice. And we're also here to, there's certain parts of the system where we'll pop up a bubble to you saying, hey, this is your first time here. Here's some FAQ for you. So again, we're really trying to help you through and make you feel confident using the system. So to create an event, again, this is super low end. We're not asking you to do a lot of information and data entry because that's not helpful to anybody to get in your way. So just create the event, put a few notes in, and that's it, right? There's nothing to it. So this is the meat of what I'm going to show real quick how this works, is sending an actual alert. So right here on the right-hand side, you see is a template. So you download the spreadsheet template, and it is just a couple columns in a spreadsheet that helps us identify what's a cell number, a landline, an email, and how should they respond to you, right? I'm gonna go ahead and choose an event in here called 3/11/20 from a test we were doing during the early days of the pandemic, as you can tell by the date. And from here, depending on what my settings are, I could have been asked for Integration USA Food Safety to get the data, or this I'm set up to do an upload of a spreadsheet. So this interface here becomes unique to what you have available to you. I'm gonna go ahead and upload a spreadsheet here. You can see the process is pretty quickly. And then we'll get to this page here. So compose alert message. So I didn't, in my profile, ever say I want to do targeting by zip codes or counties. But if that was true, you'd have been asked that right now. Who do you want to limit this to? And you'd have a map you could point and click on. But you get to this point where you're really making a choice. What do I want to send to? You see it shows what you can send to based upon what you choose here. So typically, most of our users will send an email, an SMS text message, and also do text to audio. So again, an email, we all understand, is a subject line and then some rich text. So this is where you do kind of your most voluminous communication. You're something where you have the most information in. You got hyperlinks, you can throw some pictures in here, whatever it may be. This is your real throughput where you're putting the most information in there. We kind of counsel that idea, the SMS text. You know, in today's world, you can batch together 600 character, 800 character texts, but they tend to get long in people's phones, and you want to be really succinct. And we usually, tell people, hey, aim for 160, or maybe 320 at the most, for the amount of characters to send your text alert out. And use that text alert to tell them how to get more information, where to learn more, how to get a hold of you, right? That's a good best practice. And then this text to audio is very much the same thing. If you were to post a 2,000 word treaty in here, that's going to be recorded on their voicemail. Their voicemail might time out on you and say, I'm done. Somebody listening to it might just give up. So we're going to do an alert that will take the text here and read it to the person that answers the phone. You want to be fairly succinct with that. So we'll do test here, test there, and then test and test. I'm not going to actually send anything, but here again, you can see the system telling you how many characters you have at max allowed. So you ask, what happened to that sheet that I uploaded? Well, right before you do this, you can actually preview the distribution of where it's going. When you click launch preview here, it's going to show you what it read from the data you gave it. So I can see the recipient name is myself. The email is going to this email address. Here's my cell phone. Here's my landline. My common question here is, what if I don't know if it's a landline or a cell phone? Well, that's okay. We can try to both. So we typically will dial the cell phone for the text to audio and send it to text. Well, also, if we can't tell the difference, we'll simply send a text to the landline and dial it and try to read it to them and leave it in their voicemail if they don't answer. So you don't have to worry too much about that. We've kind of just thrown our hands in the air, so we understand that you guys probably won't know the difference necessarily, and wrote some smarts into the program. So once I move forward from this and send this out, it's going to give you a chance to do a final preview. And what you can also do with this is decide if you want to send it immediately or schedule it. So this really gets to some power of this. You understand that you might need to send out an alert that you'll want to reinforce a press conference to them at 1 o'clock, but you're going to want to send an alert at 1:30 so that the firms and establishments under your purview are getting follow-up information ready to go. It's 11 a.m. That's okay. You can go ahead and fill this all out, get comfortable, not feel rushed, and then schedule an alert for whatever time you want to do it at. Or you can send it immediately. So once I click submit alert here, it's actually going to say, are you sure? We're giving you one more chance to say, yes, I'm ready to go. Because once this kicks off, horses out of the barn and off we go. We'll start spooling through emails, 3,000 to 5,000, for that time period, and however many texts we send through based on your account, okay? So it is very simple to kind of run through this wizard you see here. Click, 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 enter information, I'm done. Tracking alerts is a bit different, and this will show you your event's history. Now, because I created an event, all my stuff I sent out is under here. It'll show you how many alerts I sent out, meaning how many unique times did you go through this, and how many recipients did you send to. I'm actually going to the details here, and I will actually have a full audit log of what I sent to who, how many were successful. I can actually see the status up here in the dashboard. I can actually then go back and actually pull out the raw logs of what was sent. So what we want to do is give you tools. We're offering this tool to make it simple for you, but what if you need to get an audit of the data that you sent out and need to pull it into some other tool you've got? That's great. We've got login here for you. We'll be able to give you some information. So that is the secure alerts tool that's available, and we'll talk about at the end of the presentation when that's available, how to get access. We hope you can see that this is relatively a low threshold of pain to get large amount of communications out in a very modern and quick manner. So I'm going to pause this, and we're going to switch back over to my presentation and move on to the next tool, the second one we're showing today. And this one's called Secure Form. So the concept behind Secure Form is to build out, in a very simple manner, a web form that you can send out to get responses. Again, I'm not using the word survey. I know that's a bad word, but the idea is gathering data in some manner that you need to be able to put out a web form, very much kind of like a Survey Monkey type of thing, but not using a public web service. You don't want your data hanging out there on some public cloud. You know what's going to happen to it. Even if it doesn't seem sensitive today, could it become sensitive later? So we built this tool into here to make sure that you guys could do a very similar thing. And again, not just have this web form for data gathering just inside of Foodshield or inside your portal, but provide a public link. So you can share this link out to email lists. You can post on a website and say, please fill out your responses to these questions here. And what that will do is allow the data to be gathered in a secure manner. But again, nobody gets access to your working group. Nobody gets access to the portal because they're filling out these forms. It's simply just a public web form that somebody can fill out, and then you can gather the data from. And really, this is born out of some frustration that users said to us, we're tired of uploading spreadsheets. Have people fill them out, download the spreadsheet, upload the spreadsheet, fill it out, and do through that process, right? That's painful. It'd be far easier if you could put a series of questions out, let people fill in data as a question and answer type of scenario, and then give you the spreadsheet when it's done. So that's kind of neat. When you create the process for the form, it's a step-by-step one-pager. So we've tried to make it very, very simple. It's really powerful when we show it to you and explain to you how it's used, but it's really simple to create and manage. We can support multiple question types. What's really neat is, what's a question type? Well, there's a text-based question where you say, what color is this? There's also the type of scenario where you actually, we have one web form that's doing ongoing data gathering where they're actually posting pictures as the question. Rather than saying, have you seen this wood duck on the farm? They're actually posting a picture of a wood duck, yes or no. So the question is actually a picture. That way, there's nobody's misinterpreting what the intent is of what they're looking for. So you can have multiple ways of asking the question, which is really neat, but then you can also have multiple ways to get the data back in. So it can be yes, no's, true, false, multiple selects, just type in a bunch of text. We also can let you upload photos and videos in response and actually capture GPS where you're actually standing at that moment. And what's neat about that is, if you're using this on a mobile device, you can actually say, click my photo right now, and it's going to pull up your photo gallery or your live camera on your phone. You can actually respond that way. So you don't have to do the whole rigmarole of uploading your photo to your camera and downloading it to your desktop and uploading it to the system, doing all those steps. You just go, boom, you're done. Shoot a video, you're done. Capture my GPS location, now, done. And we'll explain how that's being used by a couple groups in a minute. When this is all done, you created your form, thinks that through. Boy, I want to be able to get pictures. I'm going to get data, and this is going to be very cool. We create a public link for you. When you're done, you're done. There's a link, and off it goes. And it can be used on all devices. Purposely built this to be working on multiple systems, whether it's on your desktop at home, or it's on your tablet, or it's on your phone, and especially on phones, for example, in limited cellular connectivity areas where you might have a slower connection. So we've optimized it so it can run really fast, as fast as possible, I guess I should say, for that environment. You can also get a one-time response, and we fills it out once they're done, or you can let it go on and on and on, let people respond once a week or every so often. So you kind of get a curve of change of answers over time back in your Excel spreadsheet, right? But again, this is just a simple web form that you've created. You don't have to do any programming. Ask us for help. You just create it and off you go. So responses are tracked. If you want to assign them to people or assign them to an organization, or you can be anonymous. And then again, you can review a dashboard of responses and export the data to Excel so you can use it, do some analysis on it later. So one of our examples, if you've been to RT before, you've heard me mention this, one of the conferences, the high-path avian influenza. After Minnesota was pretty well hammered by that several years back, and 100,000 turkeys or more were lost, there's a question about how did HPAI transmit across the farms, how did it get viral, how did it move between farms and locations, and they're trying to figure some of this information out, but they didn't have a lot of raw data. So they asked us to help them with their research surveillance on the farms, but what they needed was a very, very simple tool that anybody could take. They didn't have to have logins, and it had to be short and simple. And so what we did is we implemented an 11-question form for them and collected responses. And what happened with this one specifically was farm workers would get an email reminder once a week with a link. They click the link, answer 11 questions, it was done. So they're able to get in and out and respond basically within a minute or two. So that speed of use was super important as well, because that's how you get people to participate. And in the field for them, they could only use phones most of the time and occasionally a tablet. And sometimes it was in very, very rural locations where maybe only 4G was available or something older. But what they were doing with that is saying, have you seen this on the farm? And there's that key again. They didn't say, have you seen a wood duck? They said, have you seen this? And there's a picture. of the animal or a silhouette of the animal? Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. If you did, take a picture of where it was. So the person walks over, takes a picture, and captures a GPS endpoint. Sometimes they took a video of where they saw the animal walk from here to there. So all that data came back to them, gave them real-time reporting. Every day they could go in and check who sent new information in, download the data, start working on it, right? So it's a very, very neat tool. And we think about other response scenarios with this. If you're saying, I'm gonna send somebody out into the field to go check on some things, you can create a simple form like this and say, you know what, actually take a snapshot of it. So we've got a snapshot of what we found, maybe a GPS, quick location track where I was at when these things happen. How does this kind of really mobile scenario work out better? And knowing that it's secure and it's not some public SurveyMonkey cloud, right? So it's a pretty neat thing. We've got a lot of great response for it, and this is the first time that we're making it available for everybody across the platform to utilize and be able to share with the public. So I'm going to go back into demo mode here. Hope my internet connection keeps up. And we're going to move over and go in from the ugly apps old UI, and we're going to go to the secure form tool here. And this is, let's say I'm a Foodshield member and I've got a bunch of forms here that I'm able to respond to. First thing I get is a list of forms. I can enter my response. I can go into test survey. I can fill out the form and do what I need to do. But for you guys, you're more thinking probably about how do I actually manage a form or create a survey, right? Let's see how well my internet connection is going to hold up here. There we go. So I'm back here in my survey tools where I've got all my surveys I've created where I can manage the survey results and I can create one. So what I'm gonna do from scratch though is show you what the create form looks like before I show you results. So to create a form, it's literally point and click. This is my neat web form. Click that, now there's my title. Description is, click in here, say test. Survey response, I want the survey to be closed right now because I don't want anybody to respond to it because I still want to work on it. Response settings. Can people enter over and over again, or is it just once per user? So I can choose that, set that, and then is this public or not? So I'm not gonna make this one, maybe I will make it public. Do that. That automatically creates a link for you that you can share out anywhere you need to. Again, not giving access to Foodshield. Confirmation messages, you can change what the save button says. You can say save my cool form, populate data set, whatever you want, you can change that down here. Otherwise it reserves to save. So how to create, there's a simple builder right here, all in one page as we mentioned. It's gonna ask you, first off, are you asking a question or are you kind of creating a label, like creating a group of questions? So a label might be the example saying, for these next 6 questions, this will be all about, what you found in an establishment. And all it is the statement. But we'll go ahead and say we're going to create a question here. And it asks you, is this a text question or is that image question I mentioned, like a picture of a wood duck? This is going to be a text. What color is the sky? Some days you wonder what people would respond to that too. I know that. And then just a few simple options here. Is the answer required? Yes or no? Typically, those will be required as yes, but there is the option in here to say you can skip a question and not be a big deal. And how will this be answered? So there it can be, is it a date? Do you want them to upload a file to you? Do you want them to select all the options that apply? Do you want it to be yes or no? Or just a quick response? So these options here are here, you just click it, it builds it all for you. You don't have to do anything. So I'll say it's a large comment box. I want it to display first. So you can go back and reorder your responses if you want right from here, but we'll show you how to do it a different way as well. This is the neat part. So if you guys are thinking about this as being targeted versus being anonymous, you can actually select specific organizations that can take the response or specific people. But generally, everybody says it's kind of anonymous. It just goes to anyone. So if you ever have a need to create a web form, you need to lock it down to a specific organization or a group of people that need to submit responses, let us know and we'll walk you through that. That's kind of outside the scope of just this overview, but it is an option and we do have folks that use that. So there it shows you my question, and I'm gonna add one more question. Is grass green? And this time I say, select all apply, and we'll show you how to do that. So once I created something that has multiple options I could respond from, a simple prop comes up that says, okay, what are the options people can select? Always green. Save it. You can say down in winter, whatever it may be. You go through, you submit that. Now you can see I've built out my responses that are available for my question. Then I can go out about my business. You actually move questions up and down, reorganize them just like this. You can actually go back and delete and set, click additional settings to go back and change things about it. So again, all in all, a very, very simple interface. And we've had a lot of good compliments about this as it's been really useful and helpful. If I go back and look at the forms that I created, and I actually want to look at responses, say, here's my form I did earlier today. It's not public. I want to view what people gave me. So I took the response a couple times myself. What happens in the back end is it gives you all the answers raw and let you go through here. You can keyword search for responses and sort and filter. And then you can also download the Excel, so you get the whole copy all yourself. So again, really straightforward and really simple to use. I think we found that what's really important is understand the use case for yourself. Where do I need to gather data? Where am I saving spreadsheets and worrying about the red spreadsheets? And I'm having to collate them myself, and this is taking up hours of my day. Okay, I do want data from all these people, and I could send a spreadsheet around and collate them all via email. I could post it somewhere and have people fill out versions of it, and then we got conflicting data everywhere. Or I could create the simple form here that's really easy for people to fill out, and I can just get it back in Excel myself. So that's your first use case of why you might want to use this. And the other use cases I mentioned, like going out into the field, checking on this, or this high path avian influenza idea, those are other use cases that are totally valid as well. So I hope this is helpful to kind of see what the tool does. I'm gonna switch back over to the presentation real quick. And wrap up and start getting some questions here. So we built the form and we showed you how that works and how you can manage it. So quick questions. When is this all gonna happen? Rubber meets the road, when? So secure alerts will be available for your convenience. And we're gonna start out at alerts.foodprotection.org, alerts.foodprotectiontaskforce.com, whatever portal you're a part of. One of the reasons that is we're rolling it on Wednesday. We're acquiring all the numbers for every state, so this works. Because the numbers, again, when you send a text out, it comes from an area code in your state. So at least provides some semblance of normalcy for folks so they're not getting weird text from somewhere. But we want to also make sure this is on a powerful server that can handle large uploads. We typically say, when you're starting out, you may have a list of 60,000 emails, but it might be helpful to get the hang of it to do batches of 5,000 or 10,000. Just split your sheet up randomly into 5 different files, call it a day, and get a handle on it until you become kind of a power user. But as you think about more and more numbers, we want to make sure that things work well for you. So if you go to the alerts.foodshield.org, it's going to have a bigger, more powerful system for you. That being said, you certainly can go to the App Store and Foodshield and find the secure alert tool, but you won't be guaranteed to be on the big server. So that's why we did this for you, to make it easy. Secure form will also be available at the same time. It doesn't have that kind of same, real need for horsepower. So it's available anywhere, and we'll be putting it in all of your accounts, so it'll be a part of your apps. And when that's enabled on your current portals and app for all on Wednesday 29th, I'm going to show you what happens here real quick. I failed to do that, and I want to make sure you see it. So going back to the existing Foodshield, or existing task force portals, or the other ones you're part of, the apps drop down here, if you didn't notice that, is where all these different apps exist and live. And so you'll see one here that is rebranded from alerts to secure alert. You'll see one here, it's called data tools, rebranded to secure form. So those will be available from your apps drop down on Wednesday, April 29th. And last but not least is what if you don't have a portal account? I want to cycle back to this. Each portal has its own membership rules, who gets invited when and how. The general one I can speak to for Foodshield is that Foodshield has a membership vetting document, and we'll go there real quick and show you what it looks like. If you have not been to the new foodshield.org, we did launch a new website to support the COVID-19 response and simplify everything. But under the join button right here is a quick vetting document, explains it, and how to register. So again, you register online. It's just going to say that Amanda Morin from FPDI will verify that you are a real person. You have need for the account, meaning that you're in food and agriculture, public health somewhere, and they'll go ahead and set you up. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and stop and look for Q&A. I'm going to ask Amy to maybe help look up some of these questions that might have popped up along the way. And if not, it just means either I spoke way too fast, which is my typical outcome, or I've explained it really well. So, Amy, do we have questions I need to answer at this point?
Thanks everyone, or thanks Eric for that presentation. I definitely learned some things about Foodshield. I don't know about everyone else, but I did. We do not have any questions at the moment, so if you have any questions for Eric, go ahead and type them in the question box, and I will read them out for Eric. So we'll give everyone a few minutes to answer questions. Go ahead, Eric.
Yep, and I'll just cover it while you guys are coming up with a few extra questions. I'll just notate a few things that are coming up for everybody here. It's important to note we've been doing a whole series of webinars on Zoom Gov. That's a part of the webinar conferencing system inside of Foodshield, because it does give you access to a webinar platform with 500 participants at the ready and go. And to make sure that everybody here understands the differentiation between Zoom Gov and Zoom that you hear about on TV. And so we'll be holding 2 more of those again next week. They are a presentation about what Zoom Gov is and how we enforce security rules to make sure that your information, the webinars you're having, are secure. So you'll be seeing an email about that coming up later today or this weekend. So we encourage everybody to do that, because these tools are here and they're available to you because you do all this frontline work for us. It's really critical we find ways to support you, and this is one of them. There's also other tools that will be coming out that will be listed on the Foodshield portal login page. So, excuse me, once you log in on that landing page, right now it's filled with the COVID-19 resources that have been submitted to us by all of you wonderful people out there from all agencies all over the country. It's been fantastic. We're also gonna start posting these new tools like Secure Forms, Secure Alerts, Secure Doc, and some of these other tools that are coming out, so you understand that these tools are available to you. And we hope they can help you right now during your response and give you a new tool set that not just works now during this pandemic and this unprecedented time, but really into the future, how you might use these tools to make sure you're securely and safely working with information.
Okay, we do have some questions that came in. So the first one will be, is this a free resource for healthcare workers? Can you go through the registration process again?
Sure, I'm gonna pop back over to here and see if we can help here pull this up. So Foodshield itself, again, is one portal and is open generally to everybody in the food and ag, and we kind of include public health into that. It's really geared towards participants from local, state, and federal governments, military, laboratory systems, people part of the food supply, and food safety concerns. So this is a free resource where you can log in and get access and utilize these tools, but it's geared towards that audience. There are other portals that have other focuses that might be a better fit, but certainly right now you can read this vetting document, how to go through that, and then you click on this button here on foodshield.org and say register now. So for what's going to happen here is it's going to ask you agree or not agree to store your contact details. The reason is Foodshield supports food and agriculture folks from around the world, meaning we have to comply with rules from around the world. So this is saying, you know, to agree with European standards about how this happens. You just fill this out and off you go.
Great, thank you for that. In a secure form, is there a way to include your agency logo?
That is an outstanding question, and I'm embarrassed to say I didn't even cover that. So yes, we have, depending on the need, we can allow you to upload a logo. And what that does, that gets embedded in the email invite and can be embedded in the public page. And so the goal behind that is we try to make the public page be fairly nondescript. Like it's not going to be emblazoned with Foodshield logos and, you know, and advertisements for stuff, right? This is a secure platform. We intend to be agnostic. And we love the idea if you guys have a logo to put up there. And when we say that, there's a limitation to size and all those things, right? We certainly can support that. For the moment, when this rolls out and you want to do so, just go ahead and reach out to our help desk and we'll give you the rules, because I honestly don't have them off the top of my head, but we can certainly allow that. And so again, what that will mean in summary is that the emails that go out with the invites would have the logo on it if you use that route, or the public registration link would have your logo on it where the form is.
Perfect. All right. Can receivers of the text or email opt out of future messages?
Yes. So what happens? It's ironic that the amount of actual, you know, we send out a text from this the alerts tool, and we'll get responses back. Hey, who are you? What's going on? And what we do is we try to capture all that information, but there's also a way for people to reply stop to prevent future messages, and then they can opt out of emails. I would say the email one's probably the easiest one. The frank challenge we've got there is you guys are providing the lists. We're not maintaining the lists for you. And so when we get an unsubscribe notification, we have to figure out how to share it with you, and you guys not to do that again necessarily. So that's an area of growth for us, to be perfectly straightforward with you guys, right? These are ideas that make sense to me. I can see where we would store the unsubscribe list for you, and every time you upload it, we just block it. But we have to communicate that to you so you don't have false expectations. So I hope that makes sense.
Yes, I actually think that makes sense. So how do we re-access the spreadsheets that we upload to make changes?
Yeah, so if you're using the spreadsheet template or one of your own that you're uploading, there's two options. You're going to simply just re-upload a new one. What most people do, frankly, is 98% of folks just re-upload a new one every time because it's so quick. It gives them a chance to do a little farming on their side and clean up some stuff. We do have an option to save the spreadsheet up there. What that does is create a reusable list. We had an option that allowed you to deselect 1 or 2 or 5 individuals. The challenge there was, though, when you threw up a list of 60,000, trying to drill through the web interface to try to find those 4 was pretty tedious. So we've kind of reverted it back to, you can go ahead and search in Excel to get rid of a few people and then just re-upload it. So we have both options available, but definitely if you have a large list, maintaining a list on your side is a bit easier than trying to sort through the website.
Great. All right. Can someone register for Foodshield even if they are unsure of how they will currently use it?
That's probably a good half of our users. They don't know at first exactly what they use, and they're there to kick the tires, right? What does this tool do? What options are available to me? And frankly, when I mentioned the new user interface, that's why we're changing it, and so drastically, to make it simpler, because we want to make sure you understand when you get an account what your options are, what your opportunities are. Before, it was a bit of a blank slate. It was hard to figure out what was next. And so we're hoping with this new UI rollout, the user interface, rollout, it'll be much more clear when you join what the options are, what you can do with it. But certainly, if you fit the criteria, you can grab account, look around, and log out until you're asked to come back in by somebody else, or you just never do again. That's perfectly okay, because all the accounts are free. Just do know that over time, due to compliance rules, we do inactivate accounts and expunge things. But there's no harm in creating an account and looking around if you qualify.
Perfect. And you actually answered another question. I was going to ask if Foodshield is free, so you answered another question. Can this alert system be used for more than food alerts? Example, septic, well, other environmental health programs.
Yeah, so we do see people using it for that. This tool actually originated out of managing communications out, yes, to food-based firms and establishments, but during flooding, boil alerts, and other types of scenarios. We've seen the use expand a bit in terms of what qualifies. If you're a part of Foodshield and you're part of this spectrum of users, it's there and it's available. To be clear about that, septic, well, and these other kind of programs or issues, they all have some tangential, depending on how far down you go in the food supply chain. There's something that relates to something. So we've always been fairly clear with that. Now, we do monitor the system. If we ever find something that we're curious about, we do have conference calls with folks, or strategically you think, hey, my organization from the Environmental Health Division wants to do this. Does this make sense for us? We're always available for that 15-minute, 20-minute, 30-minute strategic call and help you align that this does make sense for you. What we don't want you to do is to start utilizing the tool and then find out it's not because we're saying anything, but because it doesn't really meet the expectations where you want to go long term. That's why we always recommend just giving us a quick holler, send us an email, and we'll give you some guidance. So that's the best way I can dance around not having a very clear answer for you.
I think that was a fine answer. It's good to know that the support team is always there for help. That is all of the questions that we have for today. So we again would like to thank you for joining us for the Active Professional Development Series. And we would like to thank Eric for presenting about Foodshield to us today. Please remember that we will be sending out a short survey after this webinar. If you provide your feedback, that would be great. And this recording will be available within 24 to 48 hours on the Active Professional Development webpage. Thanks again, Eric.
All right, thank you. Have a great weekend, everyone.